Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong, try to isolate an element of the race that we might look back on later as having been crucial to finding the winner. Well, Group 1 racing on Sunday at Sha Tin, the Stewards Cup and Golden 60. We've got the top sprinters in the Centenary Sprint Cup, and we've got the 4-year-olds on their way to the Derby in the Classic Mile. A big day's racing. But the first race I'm going to take a look at is one of the support events. It's race 4, and our winning factor here, the map. And although this isn't one of the big races, there are some nice progressive sort of horses here, headed by Beluga, a terribly unlucky second last start. Juno Park, who was almost unlucky, but instead a spectacular winner last time. And Sea of Life, a nice winner at 1200 metres. And I think E-Star will also have some fans after his very consistent recent form. But I want to focus most on the 3 up-and-comers here, Beluga, Sea of Life and Juno Park. So let's take a look at what they've been doing on their way to this race. Well, first of all, we're going to go back to Boxing Day, and this is race 305. And this is Juno Park, and he isn't the best to begin. He's in green colours near the inside, and he gets back early, and you see on the heat map he does get some assistance here. There's good pressure on the leaders in the second section, and that did soften them up for later in the race, which was crucial to the win. Alexi Bedell, he stays back and inside, and rounding the home turn he rails up, rolls the dice on getting a run through on the inside, and he gets a narrow run near home, gets through in the nick of time as the leaders tire, and gets there right on the post. Then a few days later we're going to have a look at New Year's Day, and this is race 312, and we see in brown and yellow colours Sea of Life here. He begins okay. This is 1200 metres from an inside draw, and he sits in about 6th or 7th place in the race. And you can see on the heat map this time the pace isn't so strong. In fact, the leaders have all the advantages here, with the fastest part of the race, the sprint home over the final 400 metres. So as they quicken up in the straight, it takes Sea of Life a little bit of time to get the revs up. But when he does, the best part of his race is the last 100 metres, where he draws away to win with quite a bit of authority, I thought. Then 3 races later we saw Beluga, and well, if you're a punter who backed Beluga, or there are young children in the room, you might want to shield the eyes, because this is a tragedy beaten in race 315. And once again, the heat map is crucial to assessing this performance, because in pink colours from a wide gate we see Beluga. He's on the worst side of midfield, and without the pace in the race to open up the field, Joe Moreira has to sit out there. He isn't able to get in any closer than 3 wide, and he's just got to live with it, unfortunately, spending his energy out there while everyone else is getting a rest. And then there's a strong sprint down the straight, and Beluga tries hard, but he runs out of gas, as opposed to the winner, who's been able to save his energy for the last bit. So all good performances, all horses in form, but we've made the winning factor for this race the map, and for good reason. So let's take a look at that map, and once again I think we've got a race without an awful lot of pace. We've got Beluga once again drawn wide. Now, 2 starts ago Joe Moreira led in this kind of scenario on Beluga from a wide gate. It didn't quite work out, but it is one of the options that is open to Zach Purton this time. Will he press him forward to lead? Will he just try and tuck in and get some better cover this time? This time Juno Park also doesn't look like getting the kind of pressure on the leaders in the early stages to assist his strong finish. But meanwhile, there's Sea of Life, up to a distance where in Sydney he was able to race successfully from the first 4. He's got an inside gate, and he should be able to land in the right spot. But the tip in race 4, Sea of Life, his winning factor, the map. Now let me say, I think Beluga will be favourite. He deserves to be favourite on that last run, and if Zach Purton gets him into a good spot, then he's certainly going to be the horse to beat. But Sea of Life, He's in the right place, the right time, and he's going to make the favourite earn it, whatever happens. The second race I'm going to take a look at is one of our features on Sunday, and that's the Hong Kong Classic Mile. It's race 8, and our winning factor here, the ratings. Well, this is the first of the 4-year-old series leading into the Derby, and a race with plenty of history, a staging ground for many a top-line horse on the way up. The likes of Able Friend, Beauty Flash, through to Golden 60, last year's winner. And we'll talk more about the conditions of the race shortly, but I think that we can say there are good chances here for Sky Darcy, for Joel Moreira and Casper Founds, Enriched Delight for Christophe Soumillon and Casper Founds. So the Founds stable with a great hand in the race. David Hayes has tinkered with the gear of Shadow Hero, who stays in the picture despite a couple of expensive defeats. And I think there'll also be fans for Lucky Express, Tourbillon Diamond and Lucky Patch. Now, all these horses are coming into this race from very different paths, a lot of them. Handicap races, now coming back into a race where they all meet on level weights. And that is a critical aspect of the Classic Mile. Now, I'm going to show you the winners here since 2005. And on the right-hand side, I've highlighted the handicappers' ratings coming into it and where each winner ranked on that particular pecking order. And you see the top rater from the handicap has had a very strong strike rate, winning half of the runnings, many as the favourite. You'll also notice that when the top rater doesn't win, the winner is usually still high up in the rating rankings, and nothing has won in that time with a rating less than 91. If we go to our second graphic here, we have a look at this year's handicappers' ratings going into the 2021 Hong Kong Classic Mile, and you can see half the field here rated less than 91 in a race where a lot of the horses aren't quite as highly rated as they are in some years, and that means putting a pen through half the field who history suggests just have too much improvement to make to win it. But I think we also need to take account of the map in this race, because a high rating won't do it for a horse who isn't adaptable. This looks a strangely run race with no obvious leaders. Let's go to the map. And there are many ways this race might look after the first 200 metres, because there are just no designated leaders. Lucky Patch could be in front. Sky Darcy and Healthy Happy have raced close, and so did Enriched Delight in a similar scenario last time at 1400 metres. Even horses like the Summit and Maximus have surprised with some early speed in races recently. It is going to be a case of who dares wins, and that means having a horse with some versatility to handle the way the races run is going to be very important. Now, in truth, the horse with the best acceleration in this race is Lucky Express. In his races so far this season, he's been 22.5 seconds or thereabouts or under in every run. And he's the only horse who can boast that. In fact, a couple of his runs, he's been under 22 seconds in his final 400 metres. So he has got the best acceleration in the race. But does that tell the full story? We're going to have a look at a meeting between Lucky Express and Sky Darcy. This is at the end of November. This is race 227. And you'll see them here. Sky Darcy in yellow colours near the inside takes up a very handy position, while Lucky Express in the purple and yellow stars from a wider draw gets a little further back behind him. But when they turn for home, it's Lucky Express who is finding the run through the field, finding the open spaces, and he sets out on his run. While Sky Darcy, you'll see, he's being held up behind the leaders. And by the time that Sky Darcy gets clear, Lucky Express is already in front of him, and from there it should be tough to run him down. But we see Sky Darcy, when he does get out, he shows very good acceleration to pick Lucky Express up again in the nick of time and win the race. So if you look at the raw on-paper figures there in the form guide, it will tell you that the last 400 of Lucky Express was faster than Sky Darcy. But I think in reality, we saw there that there were reasons why Sky Darcy couldn't run faster. and when it mattered, he was able to outrun Lucky Express at the end of 1600 metres. Now, I think we've also seen his versatility since, when he raced back into field over 1600 metres in a Group 3 and had no luck there and ran on well. So he's got the versatility that we're really looking for. So the tip in race 8, Sky Darcy, his winning factor, the ratings. We see historically that the horse with the top rating in the race is always tough to beat, but we've also seen from that replay that he's got the change of gears that might be necessary here for whoever is going to win what could be a very stop-start affair. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Enjoy the Group 1 racing on Sunday. We'll see you next time.